One of the questions I always hear is, why does the military even need recruiters? They get a lot of flack. A lot of people hate on them, wondering, why are you even here? So I'm gonna break down why the military's job hiring process is so different from any other job, and how COVID nearly derailed recruiting efforts across all branches, and why some people think recruiters are just out to trick you. By the end of this video, hopefully you'll see why military recruiters aren't the villains that people make them out to be, and why they just might be one of the most important parts of our national defense. So let's start with this. The military isn't just a job. It's a complete lifestyle change. And that's why you can't just fill out an application and call it a day. I want you to think about a civilian job. The process is simple. You submit a resume, go through an interview or two, and if they like you, you get the job. But the military is completely different. Because for that civilian job, they just need to know that you have the skills to do the work. But the military, they need to know a lot more. They need to know, are you physically fit? They need to know if you have the mental fortitude for the challenges of the service. They need to know if you can pass security clearance checks. This is why the military has such a thorough process. You have to take an ASVAB. This test is solely to assess if you have the capability of performing military jobs, and how many of them can you do. You also have to go through MEPS. This is where they perform a medical and physical evaluation, and they merge it with your ASVAB scores to determine how many jobs you qualify for. Because let's say you struggle on that ASVAB. Your recruiter is going to try to get you as qualified as possible. Your recruiter may recommend studying techniques to help you increase those ASVAB scores. And the same thing for your medical process. Your recruiter is going to help you gather all the medical documents you need to make it through MEPS. So the recruiter is essentially there to help you navigate through everything. Beyond that, you may have even seen a recruiter at your school a time or two, and you're asking yourself, why are they here? I remember when I was in school and I saw a recruiter, I tried to go the opposite way. But the reason why you see these recruiters in the schools is because they're trying to spread the word of their military branch. A lot of people are misinformed about military opportunities, so the recruiter's sole job is to go out there and educate the public on what the military offers. This often starts in the schools and maybe doing like one-on-one appointments. So when you see the recruiter in the school, they're not just there looking for people to sign up today. They're introducing the military as one option for students who may not have considered it. They'll talk about career paths, benefits like education and travel, and what military life is like. Once they create that initial interest, they have to move the process forward with the students who are interested. This is where they may set up an initial appointment. The sole purpose of this appointment is so they can understand your goals, any skills that you have, and any concerns that you have about the military. If they're doing it right, they're not just trying to have you sign up. They're helping you figure out if the military is the right option for you. So this way of recruiting had been the norm for as long as we've known it until COVID hit, and then everything changed. The recruiters lost their most effective tool, going out to school visits and going out to public events. The world pretty much shut down, and military recruiting across all branches hit a wall. Before COVID, the recruiters relied on the face-to-face connections to find those potential recruits. But when the schools went virtual and public gatherings were canceled, all that disappeared. And at the same time, fewer young people were interested in even joining the military. You saw a lot of social media trends about how to ditch the 9-to-5 and start working for yourself, and a bunch of other alternative paths that people never considered. And for the military, the number of people who were mentally and physically qualified to serve was already shrinking. Post-pandemic, it got even worse. By 2022, the Army alone missed its recruiting goal by 15,000 people. That was the largest gap in decades. And all the other branches, even the Air Force, had similar challenges. And the idea of a military draft started to creep into conversations. The only reason why we don't have a military draft is because we have recruiters. And if they're doing their job right, you don't have to worry about being forced to join. So in these new times, the recruiters had to figure out ways to get creative. A lot of them turned to social media. They started doing virtual appointments and virtual calls. And even some of them started doing gaming tournaments to connect with potential recruits. So that post-COVID crisis really showed us how important recruiters really are. And they kept this an all-volunteer force. But even with that, they still get a lot of flack and a lot of people still hate on them. One of the most common stereotypes you hear about recruiters is that they're like used car salesmen. When you think about a used car salesman, their whole goal is to move the inventory off of their lot. They do not care what type of vehicle they're selling. All they care about is getting that close. And I personally take offense to being compared to that. For one, this makes recruiters seem slimy. And for two, if the recruiters were just putting anybody and everybody into the Air Force, not only would it do bad for the member, but it could do bad for the service as well. So these recruiters are not just working to get you in the Air Force. They're working hard to set you up for success, not just in the military, but in life. I feel like we should put a little bit more respect on them. When you're thinking about what you're gonna do after graduating high school, there's a lot of different options that come to mind. You have college, you have trade school, you have military, and all of this can be confusing to the point where some of you might even ask, is college even worth it? I made a video breaking down, is college worth it? And I compared the traditional route of college to going to a trade school. For those of you on the fence trying to figure it out, that may be a good video for you, and I got it on the screen right now. But like I always say, I hope this video brought value to you. Stay beautiful, stay classy, and until next time, check me out.